You know, before I get into the meat of this video, there's a few things that I need to say up front that will, of course, serve as the intro to this masterpiece. And of course, you have seen the title. Now, before I get into this politically correct rant dealing with one Sage Steele, I started to call her Smith. Let me tell y'all what's coming down the pipe. And I had two pieces of footage that I was going to share, but then I thought, you know what? The second one, I'm going to hold off until next week, because that one will definitely tie into what I have cooking in my laboratory for next week. But the footage today is going to tie into this whole black woman, her natural hair, and how much white boys love the natural hair of the black queen. This individual sent me some footage, I believe it was from Instagram. And the sister made mention that she used to feel bad about her natural hair until she met this guy. And the guy she was referring to is a white dude. And the white dude takes off her rag and he starts playing in her hair. And as I'm looking at that footage, immediately I was reminded of one Sage Steele. And we're going to deal with that in a minute. But this footage of the sister with this white dude, an older white guy at that, who helps her to accept her natural hair. And again, this is a series that I've done years ago. Many of you who follow my rabbit hole, y'all know and y'all remember, I think it was a 10-part series that I've done on why white boys love black women's natural hair. And I'd be damned if I may have to revisit that. I'm certainly going to revisit it this weekend in the whole, because I'm going to talk about some of what I talked about in that series. But you know what it is, second nature like breathing. You want to see this footage, I'm going to show you the footage. I think it's like a minute long, if that, and then I'm going to give you my commentary after it. Once again, this stuff you have to see to believe. I mean, it's videos like this that's making me do the video that I'm going to do next week on the modern day minstrel show. But that, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's next week. I got some footage for next week. This week, we're going to deal with this sister and this white dude, and he loves her natural hair. I'm going to show you that footage, and then I'm going to give you my commentary. Once again, second nature like breathing. You want to see that? Send me an email. I'll get you the link. And you see the title of the video. You know, it's amazing to me when I take a panoramic view of social media. And all of these Brads, all of these white dudes, and I say all of them, but there is a large percentage. And most of the time, the Brads in question are high profile women that they're dealing with. But not just women, but black women. But these Brads are divorcing these women. And I find that to be most interesting. And it's interesting how the divestors never even mention this. Now, Sage Steele, I believe her and her husband divorced in 2019. And you've heard a couple of people say something about it, but it's nothing like the controversy that, has caused her to be suspended for a couple of, I guess she's back on the network now, where she questioned one Barack Hussein Obama's ethnicity or why he's claiming to be black when his daddy was nowhere around. But it's interesting how this white dude has divorced her. I think of one, Stacey Dash. Stacey Dash has been married 4 times. Four different white men. All of the marriages failed. Right here on y'all's colored sector of YouTube, you have high-profile black women who were married to white dudes. Not anymore. Not anymore. And I sit back and I look at this and I chuckle to myself because the online narrative is that I have to get me a Brad because black men are so fucked up. So since black men is the reason why you need to get you a Brad, then once you get a Brad, you should live happily ever after. Now, granted, we know there's going to be bumps in the relationship. They're going to be falling outs. There's going to be arguments. We understand that. That's human nature. That's a part of any kind of social interaction. We get that. But if Brad is the end all, like these sisters have said he is, and his shit don't stink, according to the black woman. Black woman is the only woman on the planet who actually believes the white man's shit don't stink. It's amazing. I mean, I've never seen anything like this from a group of women, a race of women. But if Brad is the end all and Brad is the solution, then once you secure Brad, then you should live happily ever after. There should be no divorce. There should be no separation. Not after Brad. I mean, you actually gonna lead this good white man who you've told us is the answer? You got black women who project or promote on their channels, in their courses, in their classes, through their books, that this white man is the gold line. And I got to use one of my football analogies. You got a runner who's running. That ball just has to cross that plane of that goal line. And that's a touchdown. And you talk to some of these athletes, they'll tell you, we can smell that goal line, man. When we get close to it, we can smell it. And they fight and they struggle to get to that goal line to make sure they have proper have that ball secured. And that's sometimes you'll see them reaching out for the goal line, just even if the body doesn't cross it. Just as long as the nose of that ball crosses the goal line, that's a touchdown. And he has possession, he has control of the ball, that's a touchdown. That's how crucial and important that goal line is in football. Likewise, the white man. My God, if I could just get me one, fuck that. Everything would be solved if I could just get me a white man. See, because apparently what we're learning is that struggle love, we know that when they say struggle love, we know that they're talking about black men. Preferably, I wouldn't even say broke black men, because there are some black men who have 9-to-5 jobs. But if it's a blue-collar job, he still can be classified as a dusty. He's working a full-time job, works, pays his own bills, but yet it's still because he's blue-collar and the black woman thinks she's better than blue-collar, all of a sudden he still can be called a dusty. It's amazing. Now, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, y'all remember that? Oh, don't worry, I'm going to get to Sage. Don't worry, y'all got to give y'all some perfunctory, man. Y'all know I'm going to get to her. But it's amazing how all of these divorces are taking place, and it's apparent now that struggle love is just not left to finances, because obviously there got to be some kind of struggle love for Sage Steele's husband to say, I'm out of here. And I know why she don't mind divorcing him. We're going to cover that later. Stacey Dash, the same thing. She went through 4 marriages, and each one, there's a reason why she can still have a smile on her face even after those marriages, because of what she got in return. We're going to deal with that later. And even some of the women here on y'all's colored sector of YouTube can be put into that category, because they have the all-important ring. You seen the Lord of the Rings. You remember how whenever somebody came in possession of that ring, they would go crazy, man. That ring had a life of its own. And people fought, bled, and died for that ring. And this black woman will fight, bleed, and she is willing to die for what I'm going to deal with later. I'm not going to tell y'all that now what the ring is. We're going to have to deal with that later. Let me go on and get into it, because y'all know y'all wondering. I didn't get tickle y'all taste buds enough. Well, we got Sage Steele. And I've been getting emails from people, they ask me, you going to address the Sage Steele? You going to talk about Sage Steele? And I had no intention on addressing Sage Steele. And the reason why I had no intention on addressing one Sage Steele is because I was through with her after the image that you see. Now, this took place, I believe, back in 2013. 2013, we have one Sage Steele sitting on her program on a major sports network, a professional, college-educated black woman. And she's interviewing this fighter. And you can actually go look at the footage. It's all over YouTube. And she's asking him a legitimate question about the violence in their sport. I mean, a legitimate question from a professional, educated, highfalutin, classy black female who's on her game, doing her thing. And after she asked that dude that question, he didn't even respond to the question. He immediately asked her, "Can I touch your hair?" And what was so mind-boggling about and awkward about it is that when you look at it, you're thinking, oh, she's about to check him. That black woman about to go off. Because Sage, I know you don't want to admit this, but you a black woman now. You're a black woman now. I think your husband found that out too, because we're gonna deal with that in whole. But when you look at it, you think, oh man, she's about to check this dude. But no, she leans over and allows him to play in her hair. We're talking about a major network, a sports network. We're talking about the top in the game at the time. Now they're slipping now, but at that time, 2013, ESPN was it. And you got Sage Steele sitting here, this professional, college-educated, Indiana University graduate. And you would think she would have told him, listen, no, you cannot touch my hair. If you can't sit here and answer the questions that I ask you, then you can politely just leave. I'm a professional black female. No, you can't touch my hair. No, that's not what she said. She leans over with a smile on her face and allows this white dude to play in her hair. Professional, college-educated black queen. And it was at that point, man, I was like, you know what? She's a slave. Sage Steele is a slave, man. So when she says the stuff she says, nothing comes as a surprise to me. Not after this. Not after this, man. This here And when you look at the footage, I mean, it's so odd. It's so weird, man, because what he asked her was the equivalent to what I would have said if I was sitting in that chair. What color panties do you have on? I mean, that's the same, it's the same context. He asked her, can I touch your hair? She's talking to him about his sport, the violence in his sport. And he doesn't even pay attention to that question. He has it made up in his mind. I'm going to ask this black heifer, can I touch her hair? I'm going to show the world that all these black women who talk that crap, don't touch my hair, don't ask to touch my hair, leave my hair alone, they don't mean white men. Can you imagine if that was a brother sitting in that seat? Lord, have mercy. Good gracious alive, man. I mean, the white boy sat there. He knew. He understood. Listen, man, well, let me see your hair. And again, that's equivalent to him just asking her, what kind of panties you got on today? You got on a T-back, a thong, or what? Or are you wearing panties at all? Now, what happened after she did this, she received some backlash. There was a lot of backlash from a lot of black women who had a problem with that, had a problem with the whole imagery of it. And they went after her because you would have thought that, hey, listen, she gonna check this dude. But to sit there and smile like a happy-go-lucky Negro slave who's in the presence of her master and lean over and allow this dude to touch your hair, that's a bridge too far. So black women got on her back then. But the reason why Sage Steele wasn't bothered by what those black women were saying about her is because I don't know if y'all understand this or not, but Sage Steele believes she's better than y'all. And it's not just her. It's not just her. It's women of her ilk. These what I call the modern day mammies. Now we know that, you know, the black women have tried to, you know, take this whole term mammy and move the goalposts and try to redefine it. But no, you can't redefine that term. It already has historical meaning. The mammy is not no black female who's black male identified, who defends black men. That's not a mammy. You got to come up with something else. Mammy already has a definition. We know what the historical mammy was. And Sage Steele would be a mammy. And it's interesting if you read some of the stories where she says she's out with her children and people always think she's the nanny. And people have actually walked up to her and asked her, are you the nanny of those children? So much so that she sends out a tweet saying, no, I am not the nanny. These are my children. But the reason why when black women came after Sage Steele for allowing that white dude to play in her hair, the reason why she didn't really get upset by what the black women were saying is because in Sage Steele's mind, I'm better than y'all. And it's not that Sage Steele is all that attractive. I'm not saying she's ugly. I mean, I've seen worse. I've definitely seen better. There's better on that network, on ESPN network. There's better looking black women on that network. So it's not like she's just knocked down gorgeous that makes her think that I'm better than y'all. Yeah, she graduated from Indiana University. Indiana University is not a bad school. It's not a community college. It's a good university, but it's not like a Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Columbia, a Brown. It's not like one of those schools. So it's not that she has this highfalutin education from one of these prestigious universities that makes her think she's better than y'all. She makes good money. I mean, hell, I think she's worth what, 1-2 million. She's not hurting. Again, like I said, she's not fat. She's not out of shape. She's fit. But what is it about Sage Steele that makes her think she's better than all these other black women? Black women who, by the way, do make more money than her, look better than her. Black women who entrepreneurs own their own businesses, got their own shit. But Sage Steele believes I'm better than y'all. That's the reason why when black women went after her, it didn't really bother her because in her mind, I'm better than y'all. And what makes Sage Steele better than y'all? When I say y'all, I'm talking about black women, but you can also, she don't deal with black men, but I mean, she may now after Brad got up and left, but we'll deal with that in a whole. See, you got to understand, the ring. And if you ever seen The Lord of the Rings, you know this analogy. That ring, man, it's that ring was so vitally important that when you possessed it, the power that you had. It's like again in football, when you see a player fumble, and you got them guys going after that ball, man. I mean, there's a pile down there, people, that ball done changed hands 4 or 5 times under that pile. And everybody pulling for that ball. That ball is important, man. Why is that ball so important? Because if you have the possession of it and you need to score or you can score, you're trying to win the game, we got to have this ball, man. We fight for this ball. What am I saying? For many of these sisters who quote unquote want to swirl with white men, and I tell you, the reason why they lowered the bar for white men, and the reason why there is no criteria for him other than him being white. That is the only hurdle he has to cross. Black man has to have a job, he has to be educated, he has to have his own shit. He has to have straight teeth, clean teeth. He has to be in shape. His hygiene have to be. All of this stuff that she has as a requirement. And even after that, she may get a nigga her phone number. But this white dude, he ain't got to cross none of those hurdles. He could be living in a homeless shelter without a dime to his name. And she will take him in and pay his bills and allow him to stay in her house while she takes care of him. We've seen it happen. I've done videos on it right here on y'all's colored sector of YouTube. Why is that? What is it about this white man that he has, like that ring in the Lord of the Rings or the football in a football game, that makes him so vitally, crucially important? It's because he has the ability to give the black woman what she lusts after, what she craves. It's just like an alcoholic. I'm using another analogy. I'm full of analogies today, y'all. It's just like an alcoholic. When an alcoholic drinks, and the reason, listen, I've studied addiction, so I mean, I feel for people, and again, I always say this as a precursor to me making a reference on anybody with an addiction. I have mad respect for anybody who has an addiction and they fighting that monkey on their back. I respect that. That's a day-to-day struggle, man, and I respect that. So I don't make light of it. I understand addiction. And in this case, you have an alcoholic who consumes alcohol so much, his body becomes dependent on it. His body becomes so dependent on it that if you deprive the body of that alcohol, what's going to happen? He's going to go into withdrawals. He starts sweating, breaking out in sweat. He's going to start shaking. He's have no control. He's basically losing it. He has to drink. This is the reason why when they take him to detox, and you listen, man, if you've never seen a person in detox going through that, that's a horrible scene to watch. And it's the same with this black woman with this white man. If she don't have a white man, she breaks out in sweat and she has the shakes. She got to get this white man. And why is he so crucially important? Because that white man has the ability to give her what she craves, what she lusts after, and what Sage Steele, Stacey Dash, I'm going to say it, she's not going to like it, Crystalline Cares, Irene Yvette, have in common is they have biracial children with fucking green eyes and good hair. And that's the reason why Sage Steele looks at the average black woman and feels like, I'm better than you. I got biracial. You listen to her talk about her children. You have to listen to her as she sits down and tries to explain why her children are only 25% black. I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this shit. I'm like, man, y'all are a special kind of fucked up. And she's sitting here and she's explaining that, well, my children are only 25% black because their dad is 100% black. And she's going through all this analogy to come up with the fact that her children are only 25% black. The majority of what they are is white. Why? Because they love white people, y'all. Y'all love whitey. Y'all love them. Haven't I told y'all this? This is the reason why Sage Steele, Stacey Dash went through, 4 marriages. I think she has 2 children. Might be 3, but I'm pretty sure it's 2. Sage Steele has 3. And the reason why she was comfortable with her husband being a stay-home dad and taking care of those children, Sage Steele, she worked her game plan. Again, it's just like in football. Listen, man. Everybody think it's just X's and O's. I mean, you see the highlights and everything, but no, you got to have some level of intelligence. This is the reason why they give they test these players' IQ. I believe, what was that test? It's the, what is it, the Wonderlic? I believe it's the Wonderlic IQ test that they give. And they have actually what these players scored on. And because why they want you to be somewhat intelligent is because when you're sitting in a film room looking at film, you got to be taking notes, man. You got to study film. You got to have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted. So Sage Steele looks at this whole scenario and she thinking, hey, ain't no problem with him being a stay-home dad because that allowed me to further my career. So she comes and she's hosting the NBA before they took her off of it. Now they didn't suspend her. I think she went back, but her job's up in there. She's bumping her gums, which is what black women do. There you go. We know she's black because she's running her mouth. So they give her a week off. If they don't flat out fire her. She really actually started believing that press. No, baby, you black. But she didn't mind her husband being a stay-home dad. Why? Because that allowed her to get in a position to when she decides to leave him or he leave her, because she probably seen this coming. I got what I wanted out the deal. Well, what did you want out the deal, Sage? I got these 3 biracial, half-breed, mongrel, dirty babies with green eyes and good hair. Plus, I'm in a position now that I can financially take care of them. So he took care of them. They're teenagers now. So now I can come in. I'm settled in my career. I can handle it from here. I can take it from here. Just like somebody teaching you how to ride a bike. They're pushing it, and then once you get to going, they just stop. You on your own. You pedaling. You trying to steer and everything. You on your own, baby. And those biracial half-breed mongrel children that Sage Steele has is the reason why she views herself as better than the average black woman who doesn't have those. I told y'all Irene Yvette thinks she's better than y'all. I said that. I told y'all that in videos. I've said most certainly in the whole. You could just listen to her and tell that she thinks she's better than y'all. And again, it's not that. Maybe I should have said this in the whole, but damn it, I'm already here. Now I'm going to say it. I mean, it's not like, and I'm going to be politically correct. She's not physically unattractive. Anatomically, she has some nice features. But everything else is just average. So it's not like, and then there are some women on y'all's colored sector of YouTube, I am not going to say any names, who actually look better than she does. So it's not her looks that has her thinking she's better than y'all. We know damn well it's not her intelligence that has her think. There's women on this Negro sector of YouTube who's actually smarter than she is. I ain't saying no names. So it's not her intelligence that got her thinking she's better than y'all. What is it about her that has her believing? It's the same with KC. It's the same with any other Dash. What is it that they have? What is the variable, the independent variable in all of these cases? What is it? It's those biracial children. And the black woman lusts after half-breed, mongrel, dirty babies with green eyes and good hair. Y'all remember Janet? Y'all remember Janet? Janet married that billionaire. And Janet got pregnant. And I know her doctor told her, listen, Janet, you taking a risk now. I think Janet was well into her 50s when she had that baby. Hey, Janet, you rolling the dice. And Janet said, you know what, I ain't aborting this baby, you a fool. Fuck that. We already know that black women don't abort biracial white babies. Come on now, stop. She took that baby to term, man. And as soon as that doctor examined her after she gave that birth and examined the baby and came back and said, you know what, both of y'all gonna be fine, she left that hospital, went and filed for divorce. I'm out of here. And everybody made videos. Oh, Janet want to get paid. No, Janet got what she wanted out the deal, man. Janet got what she wanted out the deal. I'm cool now. I'm straight. I'm out. That's how important the biracial child is to the black woman. See, to understand this, and I'm going to wrap this up here because I didn't want this video to be this long. To understand this, you have to understand the slave plantation. And you have to understand how the house Negroes actually thought they were better than the field Negroes. Now, you got to look at the dynamics. We have a plantation. The people in the field, the slaves in the field, are slaves. The slaves in the house are slaves. Now, granted, they lived better, ate better, because, they were in the house. They were going to be around the company. When the slave master had company over, he had to have somebody that was soft on the eyes, that he didn't want no black brute in the house. Fuck that. Get that nigga out there and let him pick some cotton. I don't want him in the house. My guests come over here and look at that burly, sweaty Negro. Oh, he had to have him a nice, polite, quiet-spoken, dutiful Negro. And that's what they had in the house. The slaves in the house actually believed that they were better than the slaves in the field. Now you have to look at that dynamic. Both of them are slaves. But because I'm closer to white master, that makes me better. And this is the same mindset that the black woman has about her children. That's the reason why Steele will go out of her way to explain to y'all, my children are only 25% black. How she figured that shit out, I don't know. They're only 25% black, y'all. They're mostly white. And because they're mostly white, that makes me better than you. Why? Because you have full-blown black children. This is the mindset of y'all's queen, man. This is the black woman. This is the reason why I wasn't going to do nothing on Steele, man. I already knew she's a slave. After the hair incident, I knew what she was. She's done. She's finished. It's a wrap. But you know what, y'all? I'm going to wrap this up. I'm done. I did not want this video to be that long, man. Y'all got me, I've got the run in my mouth, and I hadn't even saved enough for the whole. So y'all know what it is. I'm going to show you that clip of that sister and the white dude playing in her hair and how she learned to love her nappy hair. I'm going to show you the clip, And then I'm gonna give you my unedited, unscripted, straight down the center of the plate commentary. I may even revisit a little bit more of this and say the stuff that I really couldn't say here on YouTube. Y'all know how it is. Send me an email, I'll get you the link. Because at the end of the day,